Hello, good afternoon and good evening. Thank you for joining us again for another round of office hours brought to you by Infinix Healthcare. My name's Bo Bowman. I'm the Vice President of Strategic Accounts here at Infinix, and I'm really excited to be joined by Satish Kumar today. Satish is our Vice President of Information Technology and Security. He's been with the company for about a year and a half now, and has brought some real dynamic experience to us. And real happy, Satish, to talk with you today. Welcome.
Thank you, Bo. Happy to be here.
For those of you watching today and tuning in, we're going to talk about the topic of cybersecurity and protecting data. Obviously, a very popular topic right now. And just want to let everybody know it's top of mind for Infinix leadership. And we know that the customers we serve now and that maybe future customers that we get to partner with, we'll hear some today about how important this topic and really this discipline is to us as a company. Satish will jump right into it. So coming off of the October kind of cybersecurity month, the National Cybersecurity Awareness Group, and we participated in multiple rounds of communication, both with our own teams and our external customers, that I thought was real helpful. So Infinix has been qualified as a cybersecurity champion by the National Cybersecurity Awareness Group. Can you walk us through how we achieved that and what measures we took?
Absolutely. First of all, thank you, Bo. Happy to be part of Office Hours, and great to see people who are joining to understand what's happening there. So National Cybersecurity Awareness is actually a cybersecurity initiative that started in 2004, and this is the 20th year. And the theme for this year has been Secure Our World. And it's typically the cybersecurity, whatever the Secure Our World theme talks about, 4 basic principles of security. Use strong passwords, have multi-factor authentication for whenever you're using your credentials, and you always need to be wary of the phishing, whatever, be it on email or your phones or messages, and be aware to report that immediately so that you save yourselves as well as your organization, and always use updated software. So these were the 4 basic themes that has been picked up for this year in the month of October. And we Infinix have always been very strong on our info security best practices. And in Infinix, we use a 12-character password, which you all know, like, if at all, the way we are using multi different characters, alphanumerics and symbols, and I guess or someone to really crack that, it would take about 6 million years is what it is for any perpetrator. So we are so strong from a user password perspective, right? And similarly, multi-factor authentication has been order of the day. Earlier, people used to have multi-factor authentication using SMS, and now the recent talk of the hour is using applications, because SMS are also using clear text, which is also easily breakable. But with applications, it's almost close to impossible for it to break unless you really have an insider. So Infinix has been on the multi-factor authentication for quite some time, and we've been really going strong on that. And again, phishing, the third part of the theme, right? There have been a lot of news where we see users of different organizations are getting phished. And most of the time, whatever technology that you have, the most weakest link is a human link. And it's important that you need to keep your employees trained and have multiple campaigns run regularly so that you know how the phishing perpetrators could really act. So in Infinix, we run a phishing campaign at regular intervals. We started off starting earlier every month, and then once we see that the phishing numbers have been reducing, we started doing it on a quarterly basis. we take those calls depending on how the people actually respond to the phishing campaigns. And whenever, let's say, there are a few people who still get phished, I mean, during the campaigns, we direct them to a regular training whereby they get the awareness of the phishing, and again, they come out clean the next campaign. So we are really very careful and headstrong to make sure that our employees are aware of all these cybersecurity issues that are prevalent. And even if there are some employees who still don't get it, we really get them to rigorous training. And until they are comfortable or until they are really aware, we don't get them to work to production. So that's how much serious we are about our security postures. And the last one of this particular theme is secure world theme is you need to have the latest software available. When you say latest software, it's every applications when it is released, it is the latest, but over a period of time, it starts developing bugs, and the OEMs or the software manufacturers start releasing the product updates. And it's very imperative for any organizations to be updated with that because it fixes all the loopholes in the particular software. And Infinix has that in a more automated fashion. We scan our infrastructure on a regular basis, right from the operating system layer to any of the applications that we use at the endpoints. We are patching them on a regular basis so that we remain up to date on all the software. So these are the four which are possibly part of the current team, and we've been really going strong that for quite a long time. And this really helped us move forward in the particular awareness, NCA awareness program, and we emerged as champion.
That's great. Thank you for the summary. And yeah, I mean, passwords, using the authenticator, being aware of phishing attempts, and then obviously our software updates. I've, as an operator within the company and having multiple teams that I work with, I can empathize with how do you get your group of associates, whether small, medium, or large, to make this a high priority issue in their day. And so just a couple of tips that I would add on to your comments here. In our group, we'll make one of our huddle meetings during the week about our cybersecurity awareness. We'll show some examples of a phishing email, or we'll have somebody show us any questions they may have. So for the operators out there, making the topic top of mind, making it interesting, maybe having a little competition of who's finished their assigned training first, and asking a few trivia questions on the assigned training. Those are all, there's a little simple things you can do to get people talking about this, get them talking about it on their breaks, or in their casual meetings. So again, very important topic, and that's a good overview. Well, why don't we get into what's happening, both on the national and international scene, really around cybersecurity. You read a lot, Wall Street Journal, New York Times, Fox News, about various threats that have hit small and large companies here in the last few years, and the financial penalties and damages that can occur. So why don't you walk us through what are, say, the top 3 cybersecurity threats that a lot of groups are facing today?
Well, I would say it's pre-COVID and post-COVID. Now we are in the post-COVID era, right? So the remote workforce has been the order of the day, and that has been one of the biggest challenge for all CISOs and CIOs, because remote workforce security is something very crucial, because it is the order of the day. You cannot really avoid it, but at the same time, you would need to really have your infosecurity guardrails around that. That's the topmost. And second one, which is being doing the rounds and also part of this October month theme, is the phishing and social engineering. Every other person is actually on the social media, right? I would say every other minute, we always go back and check what's the update. But you really don't know how many of the messages that you get are really phishing messages or social engineering messages. So awareness is very, very important. You need to be constantly updated, or you need to constantly have your guardrails updated with the latest phishing and social engineering technologies that different perpetrators use. So that's the second one. And the most important one is ransomware, because that's where you lose your data, right? You have the perpetrator comes, sits in your office, steals all the data, locks, and gets away with the data. And then for you to really get back your business running, you are at ransom. So these three are the major challenges that the entire industry is facing. And Infinix is really aware on what are the challenges and how do we really have our guardrails and perimeters secured with that. We have a strong VPN connection that is 256-bit encrypted, and all our as we spoke earlier, like we have several campaigns that we constantly run across so that the people are aware of the phishing and social engineering practices. On top of it, we have our own software that constantly looks out for the different type of emails that comes in. It would actually, even before the email comes and hits your inbox, it even gets inside our infrastructure. We have a sandboxing environment that really checks, are there any phishing emails or any social engineering emails, and it filters them out. And you actually get a notification if there are anything that's really genuine email that's really stuck. You have a choice to go back and see whether you can release them or not. But otherwise, none of the emails that are there uh, acknowledged or notified as a phishing or a social engineering email gets really blocked. It does not even hit the end user's mailbox. And same holds good for the other last threat of ransomware. So we have our security practices. Every endpoint is actually encrypted, and we also have our own EDR system that is constantly or almost real-time scan for any of the emails that's being opened. And we only install applications that are needed, and rest of all the applications or anything that is there on your endpoints are hardened and you cannot even use them. So we make sure the endpoints are really secure, your email mechanism is fully secure, as well as your network perimeter layers are also secure, so that we can manage these kind of top three major security threats that we have.
Understood. And that seems very, very thorough. I meet with clients, on a daily and weekly basis, and the topic comes up around, we're moving a lot of data through our systems, through their systems. And I spend a lot of time explaining, hey, here's how we're accessing your data. Here's how we use our passwords. Here's how we make sure that, we're following both our client's policy as well as our policy. So let's jump into PHI, Protected Health Information, Patient Health Information. Those acronyms are used interchangeably. It's a big topic as a healthcare-based tech firm for everything we do. So again, ensuring as a new client, that we're going to have the appropriate access to, either read-only or other type of, maybe admin access to either a client's database, practice management system, billing solution, or otherwise is, sometimes can be of grave concern, and it's a privilege. And, for those maybe new customers out there, we take that privilege very seriously. So, Satish, I think it would be great if you could just talk through a little bit about what we do to ensure the client's PHI is protected and the security measures we have in place. Could you give us some examples there?
Absolutely. Like, we have the best of the products, security products. First, we start by securing our endpoint devices. We have an endpoint detection and response system, which in the erstwhile world called as antivirus softwares, and now the latest in technology is EDR. It actually has a real-time database, and that always gets updated and it'll be on the lookout for any kind of viruses, any malware that comes in. So your endpoints where an end user actually works on the client data is protected real time, as well as we actually ship out all this information, like your system logs, application logs, or server logs, network logs. All of those data points are shipped out to our managed partner, who would be constantly monitoring, are there any abnormal behavior. For example, let's say a perpetrator is trying to infiltrate into our network. They might be sending out or using multiple username and password. Let's say they get catch hold of my user ID, but they don't know the password. They'll be trying to access by giving in multiple attempts. So our managed partner will be constantly looking at the security logs to figure out, hey, something's really not right. Can we check what's happening? And then they just go and block that particular access. So that is set, that's at a perimeter level. And as I told initially, one of the important parameters that part of the theme of this October is again having a multifunction, multi-factor authentication. So we have all our access on MFA, and it is using a single sign-on. Any new application that we really onboard to our infrastructure has the single sign-on, so that only an authenticated guy can really log in, who is really validated using our MFA. So you are blocking any third-party person, even though they know the username, even though someone looks at your laptop, peers, looks over your shoulders and understands your password, unless they do the multi-factor authentication using the app, they cannot really log into it. So you're fully secured that way. And other than that, we have implemented a lot of controls at the endpoint layer. And for example, we have our data leak protection tools that are being rolled out in all the workstations. So any PHI information that's being sent out would be really scanned, and only authorized emails or authorized clients data would be sent, so that even an end user gets popped up if someone is really trying to access their knowledge, it really pops up so that they know something is really happening wrong. At the same time, we have implemented a lot of mobile device management applications too that restricts access to multiple applications within your workstation. You get access to only applications that you're going to use. You cannot even save any of the client data on your local workstation. You can save them only the designated location, that too on the network, either possibly on the shared network where it is fully guardrail, or on the SharePoint where you have all the network security applications installed and guarding it. So that way, any PHI information that's being processed by our agents is fully secure, and we take info security with utmost caution and ensure that none of the client data is really being like stored or stored offline mode, or can there be access from anywhere outside of office.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Thank you. That's a good overview. And then, maybe just jumping right back into some of these threats. We talked about phishing and social engineering earlier in the beginning of our discussion. So can you walk us through what Infinix does strategically to kind of prepare and counteract any threats that we may receive?
Absolutely. So typically the phishing and social engineering threats come from external world, and the primary entry points for these kind of operations would be either on email, where our agents get connected with the external world, or over browsing portals, right? When you access any of the portals that are outside of our office. We have robust mechanisms, as I highlighted initially. Any email that hits our inbox, it is fully scanned before even it hits our infrastructure, so that none of those phishing emails or social engineering or malware content emails are not even hitting our infrastructure. It gets filtered out even before it comes in. And of late, the perpetrators are even more smarter. They use similar worded emails or different contents that make it look more genuine, even if it comes in when someone tries to click a link, right, it really gets blocked at our perimeter layer. We have a strong filter mechanism that would not, that is working only on uh, the working in the mode where we allow access only for the client portals. We don't really allow them access to any of the other portals other than that is required for the business. So even if they click on those links, it really gets blocked and dropped at our perimeter layer. So that way, your social engineering and phishing issues are really controlled at a technical layer. And as again told you, like humans are the weakest link, so we manage that by having constant training and constant campaigns being run at different layers, so that people, the employees, are get trained and they're aware of what to do and what not to do.
Yeah, that's important. I mean, knowledge of your own team and your own associates, and again, cybersecurity being at the top of their mind seems to be a real key theme to Infinix success and other organizations' success. Well, maybe to wrap it up, why don't we talk a little bit about how, you know, the applications that we host, both in the cloud and internally, and then really, you know, what we do to protect those applications from threats, because they are ever evolving. So maybe talk a little bit about how we proactively address and manage, you know, any vulnerabilities, both with the applications that we use on a daily basis, as well as, you know, access to our clients' applications.
Absolutely. So firstly, we talk about the applications that we use, or what we actually host that internally, both in our office premises as well as outside on the cloud. So we constantly do the VAPT. Technically, it's the vulnerability tests, penetration tests of those applications. It be done both inclusively, internally as well as externally. That would check whether any vulnerabilities are there in the applications, and that is done at a regular basis. We, once any vulnerabilities are found, we categorize them as high, medium, low, and high vulnerabilities are fixed immediately within a very short span of time, and medium and low are given with certain gap, because you still they're not really that critical, whereas critical and high vulnerabilities are fixed immediately. And this happens on a regular basis. Like once the vulnerabilities are fixed, we run the scan once again to figure out, are there any other vulnerabilities that are happening? Because it's a continuous process. You just cannot be resting saying that, hey, I've fixed it now and then my applications are good. No, the vulnerabilities are constantly evolving, and we need to be really be on the edge to figure out, is there anything happening today? And the vulnerability assessment, what we do are the best of techniques, which looks at all the databases that are available in the world, and it really matches against those and figures out, is there any vulnerability in your current application, right? And along with that, what we do, we also do a regular, we have our own red team assessment, wherein we would actually have a cybersecurity specialist who would consider himself as a completely third-party person, and you would ask him to come and assess our network from an external perspective, taking the form of a perpetrator or an attacker. And we ask him to figure out what are different vulnerabilities that we find from an external world. So we do that proactively to figure out, okay, while we have all the guardrails internally, there could be some issues that, or some points that we could have missed out, because is human. So we want to make sure that a third-party person who's never part of the Infinix infrastructure comes, tests, validates that, and gives us a report, and we go fix it. And again, ask the person to validate once again, saying that the vulnerabilities identified are fixed. So we do this on a constant basis throughout the year to make sure the applications are constantly updated and we have the best security controls in place. As far as the client applications are concerned, we ensure the access to the client applications are given only for those teams who are supposed to access those portals, and not to everyone. So we have a web filter mechanism in place. So a particular X team can, if they are serving for Y clients, they'll have access only to those portals. If they move out of that particular team, then the access would be revoked, including the client specific data, the access would be revoked. So we put in those kind of mechanism, and it's a constant process. We constantly do our access validation on a quarterly basis for each of these users, saying that, hey, some users have moved out from the team. Are they still having access or no? That happens whenever an employee moves across different teams. That is more on a transaction basis. But on a proactive manner, we do a quarterly assessment to figure out, are there anything that was missed out during the transition so that we are clean. So these are the few security best practices we constantly do, and we are constantly on the lookout for any of new best practices that we could incorporate and make sure our applications are secure.
Okay. That's great. That's great. That's good detail. Hopefully folks can take something positive away there. Hey, Satish, we've had a couple of inquiries come across here on the Q&A. I'll just kind of call them out here and let's get your thoughts. So first question that came in is, what would you say to organizations that are considering working with us but have concerns about offshoring their data?
Well, in Phoenix, we are currently having most of the data stored online, only in SharePoint. The data is not being shipped offshore. And we are actually not allowing end users to store the data offshore. And whatever data that's being stored in the network drives also are fully secured with all the current guardrails that is said, in terms of having your network perimeters secured with firewalls, web filter solutions, as well as your email and email security solutions, whatever we have now. So two points. First one, the data is not really getting offshore. They are stored in a SharePoint, which is again on off the Microsoft cloud, which gives us ample uptime, and they themselves are certified for all HIPAA and high trust. That gives us ample security, as well as the other applications that we use regularly to monitor all the logs that are being both from your EDR as well as the managed response perspective. All these things help us constantly ensure the PHA data, whatever we work on, is secure.
Understood. Hopefully that's helpful. Another inquiry coming in. So it reads, are there unique challenges to managing data internationally versus here only onshore in the US? And is there anything specific that we do differently given that we're an international company?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, like again, we are very clear that the customer data, the PHA data, has to be really secure. It needs to pass through several gates before someone can really have access to it, right? So we actually have all the hygiene best practices put in place. So we treat a customer data as a data, whether it is international or whether it is US. PHA data is very important. Personal health information is very important for Infinix from a security perspective. And we put in all the necessary security protocols to be in place so that the data is secure.
Great. That's great. Well, we've reached the end of our time today. Satish, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for enlightening us in regards to what's going on in the industry right now. Hopefully our customers and maybe soon to be customers, had a good first pass with their cybersecurity awareness during the month of October, and will continue those disciplines through this calendar year and next. So again, thank you for the time. And if you have any questions, you can reach us at our website, www.infinix.com. Multiple opportunities there to put in a question, and we'll follow up with you same day and reach out. Again, thanks everybody for attending this session of Office Hours, and we'll be back with more.
Thank you. Thanks, Bo. Thank you, everyone.